Hi, everybody. It is 6:30, so y'all know what that means. It's time to get started with our meeting. We still have some people coming in, but we'll still go ahead and get started anyway while they get started because we have a lot to cover today. So just a really quick intro. My name is Lindsay Williams. If I haven't met you before, I'm the president of the Eastwood Civic Association, and we are very excited to start 2025. And I see a lot of new faces, so I'm pretty excited about this as well. Really? We just did this. Oh my God. I have to be like, okay. I'll do my best. All right. Stay right on this thing. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Calling to order now. We'll go through some introductions, especially meeting the 2025 board. We think Councilmember Martinez is going to be coming in. So when he comes in, we'll give him an opportunity to speak. Okay, cool. I also see Precinct 2, who could probably say hi. Oh. We'll get it. Well, don't worry, we'll get there. Quick safety update, treasurer report, secretary report. I say I have a report, but it's more about getting through the committees that we're going to be having for 2025 and their updates and any other announcements that we have along the way. So I think first and foremost, we want to say hello to everybody. Raise your hand if this is your first time here. Oh, yay. Thank you so much for coming. We are hopeful that this is a good meeting for you. You like it, that you want to get involved and come back to another meeting. And I guess just if you haven't already, just take the time to say hello to your neighbor in your seats. We want to get to And then of course, something that I just learned about before the meeting started, which is probably one of the most important things we could cover, is there is somebody who had a birthday. Miss Pruitt, January 30th. Happy birthday. All right. So we just want to say hello to our 2025 board. Just kind of walk through. I have actually put together little statements from everybody. So just give me a second while I go through my prepared statements. So we have obviously me. I don't think I need that much introduction. I talk to y'all all of the time. I'm, heavily involved in trains and everything I hear. So anything you need, just give me a call. We also have Clay, who is our vice president, who could wave his hand. He's right there in the audience. And Clay gave me a note. So he did first move to Eastwood in 2014 and has lived on McKinney Street near Lantrip Elementary since 2020. By day, Clay is a funeral director and a formal news producer, so he assists with media matters for the Civic Association and is serving as vice president. He works with the trains, mobility, and home tour committees and any committees as needed as an officer. This year, he's going to chair our beautification committee. So that's Clay. We have Everett, who has years of knowledge and organization and education and a passion for our community. We have Pulani, who has a deep knowledge of our community relationships in the area and is our longest serving board member. We have Erin, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. She was unwell, but she's our second longest serving board member. She has a deep knowledge of Eastwood and expertise in nonprofit organizations. We have Kyle. Kyle has I put an expertise in organizational processes and passion for our community, which is very true. Thomas, who is a member of the LGBTQ chamber and passionate about community engagement. Amy Erickson, who unfortunately could not be here today. She's new to our board, but a resident of nearly 20 years, passionate about a clean community with lots of parks. Matthew, who's also in the audience today. Second year on the, there you go. Second year on the board, but not without a lot of impact. He's had a lot of impact. Expertise in organizational effectiveness and community engagement. Catherine, you saw her outside at the sign up. Second year on the board and expertise in project management, passionate about voting and communication. So I believe she's still a precinct chair. So if you need to get registered to vote, you can talk to her about that. And Emily, who is also new, raise your hand, Emily. Emily brings, so she's new to the board, but not new to Eastwood. She brings over 2 decades of expertise in communication. So this is your 2025 board. So I know we've got precinct 2 and you know when she's gonna be here? Levi, do you want to come say hey?
How y'all doing today? I don't have a whole lot to talk
Just
about.
introduce
Yeah, I'll
yourself,
just
it's fine.
introduce myself. My wife and I here, obviously in the precinct too, but my wife and I also just moved to Eastwood, so I'm also here as a new resident. I decided to learn more about the neighborhood. I just started a few months ago. The only thing I was gonna highlight honestly was the train grant, but we have the train captain right here, so I feel like there's no one better to talk about
Well,
it.
we'll go a little bit more about that later, but yeah. And then also the precinct 2 has created advisory groups for our area to help escalate any situations in the community up to the county. And
Lindsay's actually one of our advisory.
I'm one of the advisory board members.
My official title is the advisory board manager. So my whole job is managing these advisory boards that are geographically split throughout precinct 2. And so Lindsay sits on the one that covers the east end. And so y'all have great representation here. She was actually at our flood control tour. I think she posted about it on Facebook recently. And so, yeah, we're just trying to, show firsthand great people like Lindsay, what's actually happening in the county, and just be a resource as much as you can. So I have business cards. Come meet me afterwards if you want to get to know me, or if you need help in precinct 2, happy to try to help you out. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Levi. Are there any other elected officials who I don't see anybody else. Okay, we'll give them time when they come in. All right, so I always show this at the beginning of the meetings, just so that everybody has a chance to take a screenshot or take a picture. I just put the 911, non-emergency dispatch for HPD. It's just really helpful to have that number saved in your phone. If something comes up that you need to contact HPD, you don't have to go searching for it. It's ready to go. And they do hold a PIP meeting, which is the Positive Interaction Program, and that one's scheduled for February 18th at 6:30 p.m. You will see Paul O'Sullivan there. Paul, you want to raise your hand real quick? Paul goes to all of them, and I think Sylvia goes to almost all of them too. So if you have any questions about past ones, they are definitely great resources for you to talk to. And then the second one is precinct 6. These are elected to our constables. You can take this number down as well. They can get to you very, very quickly. So if something does come up, you can just keep this number in your phone and you go through 911. You call 911 first, but you can also call the constables and they can get out to you as well. So treasurer's report, I put this up here. Polani, you want to come say hey? Yeah, come on up.
Wow, nice group. Hey. Happy New Year. Happy Chinese New Year too. Okay, so our current balance is actually more updated than that. It's $29,840.46. And that's as of January 31st. So and that included everything cleared and everything's all up to date. So
Okay, cool. That was me trying to get it all together. So you've had the most updated numbers for sure. All right, and then our secretary's report.
First of all, good evening, everyone. I'm Everett Hernandez, the secretary. So this is a little bit of what once I want to start first with the minutes from December 2024. So we had elected officials from Senator Carl Alvarado's office, Council Member Twilight Carter's office, Precinct 6 officers. We also had from Council Member Joaquin Martinez's office. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. And then also from Representative Christina Morales' office. We had our keynote speaker from Barrio Dogs, and then we held our 2025 ECA board elections, which was just such a success. We appreciate everyone's contribution to this. Just a little bit about me. I usually take the minutes for every board meeting, as well as every general membership meeting. Those later on are revised, and then they're published on the public folder for the Eastwood Civic Association. So if you guys ever miss a meeting and then you guys want to know what happened, what we talked about, then you guys can log into our website, and then you will find those there. As of now, they're all updated up to all of the ones from last year are posted there. So if you guys want to know some of the information that we talked about during these meetings, you should find them there. What else? I usually take care of the bylaws as well. So if there's ever a need to go and revise those bylaws, and which is what we follow for our meetings, then we can go back and look at those, and feel free to reach out if you guys ever have any questions when it comes to that. they're also published on the website. I should also take care of the social media. I work closely with I'm part of the communications committee, so I usually take care of the social media. When you guys see posts on Instagram or on Facebook or Nextdoor, usually I'm the one that posts them, as long as with everyone else in the in our board. As well as I take care of some of the email, and along with Kyle, we take care of the block captains and the yard signs. So if anyone is interested, especially our new neighbors, in taking part of the block captains, which you guys have seen those green signs around across the neighborhood, to help us out, we are taking new members. Yes, please. Okay. All right. How's that? I don't know if you have noticed in the neighborhood, we have this green yard signs. We put them across the neighborhood that say when the next meeting will be. Yes. 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 Actually, I think Rusk and Dumble, that's me. Yes, that's me. Yeah, I live in Rusk and Dumble. Yeah, Rusk and Eastwood. Yes. Like 1 block away. Yes. High store. Yes. But yes, if you're interested, yes, just please meet us after after this, and then we can talk about handing you up one there. Okay. Okay. We definitely want to hear your feedback. Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Good. We appreciate that, sir. But yes, if you guys feel any questions when it comes to being a captain, usually right now the responsibilities are to just put out the yard signs every time we have a meeting, and that way we keep all of our neighbors informed about our meetings. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
So we're gonna go into our president update. I first wanted to say thank you to our 2024 board. Thank you. So I actually took the time to write down some of the things that we did that I think really highlight what the Eastwood Civic Association is about. In 2024, we had 3 park cleanups. We had a bike lane cleanup. We got the Rusk Street drainage project, which it looks beautiful now. It looks so good with a whole new street, all new updated drainage. No, it didn't happen overnight. It was.
I saw one of the city guys out there spraying the streets and stuff like that. Hey, what y'all doing? Well, from the 2 civic streets, I don't remember the name of them, Tommy Wood and the other one. They did some plumbing and they tore up the street.
Yep.
And they were only going to do the center part. Up the 2 sides. They kept on coming in from the double side and tore up our street back. And I said, well, what can we do to get this part of our trucks are missing of this to get part of that group of it? Well, make a little letter or something, and this could help me. This is the project number and this and that, whatever. And I had everybody turn in a report and this and that. As quick as they gave everybody a project number or a case number, they knocked it down. We need $250,000 to do 1 street. That's not in the budget. Well, what can I do now? Because that didn't work. So I think I kept on talking to the guy, and I bought about 7 cases of water, and I was all the time giving water to the guys. But the guy, I found out who was the middleman between the city and the project, and the city and found out the middle. So I was talking to him a bunch. They said, hey, I'm messing up the street. I know the street is over. It was not like this. Then they came back and said, well, let me go see what I can do. After about 2.5 months talking to them, it's worse now. It's worse now. I got some good news. It's not raining now, and I got some better news. You're gonna get streets, sidewalks, curbs, driveways, all new. The city's gonna take the ticket of $250,000. 1 street cleanliness.
So it was actually it was a really interesting effort. Sarah Gutierrez was the one who initiated the beginning part of that project. And between you and Corbin, y'all got that project extended all the way down the street.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an effort, but Sarah Gutierrez, I know she's not here right now, but she was the one who really got that one started, which is hopefully is resulting in good drainage updates on the street, because I know it was pretty rough before. All right, so coming back to this, our trains committee, I know that y'all know that we do the trains advocacy, and it's a combination of improved infrastructure, safety, all of the different things that can happen. Last year, we helped advocate to receive, it's $2 million with Precinct 2, and then along with the Safe Streets for All, which also covers part of the seeing that, but the railroad safety, it's another 3.4 million. So our train advocacy group helped bring in $5.4 million to our community to improve the safety around railroads. So I think that that's a pretty cool win. And then we had over 2,000 311 reports, if my math is correct, between Amy Erickson, Paul, Sarah Gutierrez, me, and then there's a couple other people on our safety committee. We've been advocating for that, and Matthew over here actually makes a joke. He knows when I'm going out on bike rides because you get flooded with 311 reports, and I'm not sorry. You're just going to keep getting them. We did expand our outreach. We raised the most with our home tour that we've ever had before. And one of the most important things we've done is actually thanks to an initiative by Kyle. In 2014, I think it's 2014, our nonprofit status had lapsed. And with Kyle's very diligent work and tenacity, it is almost completely reinstated. So that is a fantastic work that Kyle has been doing. So that's just some of the things that our 2024 board has been doing. I was hoping Councilmember Martinez would be here. How many of you have had a lapse in your recycling being picked up? How many is more than 4 weeks? Okay. You're not getting trash either? Yard waste, it was suspended until February because of the snowstorm. I do know that part, but I'm just gonna make a plea. I know that 311 is probably going to close it, but if you could report whenever there's a missed trash pickup or a missed recycling pickup, I understand how frustrating it is to get that report in and then somebody just closes it right away. But what that does do is that gives Councilmember Martinez the gunpowder to go to the city and be like, you need to give more resources to this area. Look how many reports I have of this being missed. So without that information, we can't help our council member help us. So I've been escalating these as much as possible. I was on the phone with them just this afternoon with additional items. And I know from firsthand, when you have to leave these bins out, cars knock them over. And I literally, that happened to me just a few hours ago. So I know that that's a problem. And when Councilmember Martinez does get here, I'm hoping he will have an update because they had a committee meeting this afternoon. And I see a hand raised.
They picked up on the north side of Polk. That's recycled, and they left it south side. So today, I saw a supervisor actually directing the trucks, white truck, following around, making sure they picked up.
If you have the ability to flag somebody or supervisor down, I would suggest doing that because you can't get that. Sometimes they're not around, but I would just, the 311 is one way to do it. So definitely keep that up. I do know that there are some residents that have not been picked up since November. So it's should be Wednesday. I have to double check. There's east of Lockwood is Wednesday, west of Lockwood, I think is Friday.
Trash has been there over 2 months, and that means Lockwood. And right across the street, on my backside, about 47 of my folks, back door neighbor put some stuff out there. He said he wanted to knock when
I do know that the tree waste and heavy pickup was suspended until this month, so hopefully it all gets picked up. But I would do the same thing, put it in 311 so that we can actually go to the city and say that, hey, like, you're not picking us up. And if there's one thing I'm really good at doing, it's being a squeaky wheel. So we'll use that to our advantage. I'm sure, how many of y'all been driving up and down Polk Street? And you've seen the sign? Okay. So there is we'll go through a little bit more about this, but there is I was hoping, like I said, was hoping Councilmember Martinez would be here, but there is there's a sign with a number that they are looking to close Polk Street, across on the other side of 59. There's two different reasons. One of them has to do with the expansion of the George R. Brown Convention Center. And then the other one has to do with the TxDOT project. So both of these are coming, and I was hoping to get a little bit more information on timing because I think everybody was a little bit surprised at how quickly this is coming. I see a hand raised. You got,
I'm sure other people did too, but I called, the councilman's office earlier today. I posted on it on next door, and when I called, I only spoke to one person there, but they gave me the very strong impression that they and the councilman didn't understand that it had anything to do with the George R. Brown expansion, and that his office had reached out to TxDOT to get more information about the temporary closure related to the North Houston Highway program and moving I-45. They didn't understand that this was a permanent closure to abandon the road and sell that property to Houston First for the expansion of George R. Brown. And, you know, when I called the number and I issued a complaint, they took it very professionally. And, you know, I guess my three strong points were like, it's a major roadway, you know, and access in and out of East Downtown. And, you know, when the bill passed the Senate, which was introduced by our mayor, then senator, it was estimated to bring in at least $1.8 billion in revenue, tax revenue, to expand George R. Brown, but potentially improve East Downtown and the East End. And I thought that, you know, closing access between the two was the opposite of that. And you know, with $1.8 billion, I think they could figure out a way to do both, you know, either continue to have or even improve access between the two and do the George R. Brown expansion.
so for TxDOT, that project's not supposed to start until 2027.
Yes.
So it could be literally a notice for 2 years.
No, that
or-
notice there is strictly related to a JRC request, where they are currently, that board, the agents, the real estate agents that work for the city are collecting community concern, before, they make their recommendation to the city to either amend the project or not. And when I requested information on the project, I had to submit a information request, like a formal one, but she let me know that they don't currently have like the design or plans or any indication that any accommodations are going to be made for additional or improved access once that access is taken on.
So from what I've heard, what I've seen so far, that's
Yeah.
nothing final. There is like Polk is going away, like
Yeah,
at that point.
yeah.
So, but I would just, we're gonna go through a little bit more about some of this and hopefully the council member can answer more questions. But in case you're curious, the super neighborhood is going to have TxDOT come out in March and talk about the 45 realignment project. And also I'm inviting Houston Public Works as well to talk about street closures and anything that's going to go along with it.
Yeah,
So
so they said that initially when they started talking about the George R. Brown expansion about 3 years ago, there was some infrastructure concerns related to water and sewer. But now they understand those better somehow.
Sure.
Moving forward, but if you look at the TxDOT plans for the highway project, those don't include anything about permanently closing.
So
If you look at-
we'll go through a little bit more later. I can talk to you about that offline, but so just to make sure, because we only have this room for so much time. So we'll go through our board retreat update, some of the event dates, meeting schedules, and our committees is really what we want to try to make sure we get through today. So I always try to advocate reporting on 311. I know I talk about this ad nauseum. I cannot stress how helpful this is to get things done in our community. Like we talked with missed recycling, illegal dumping, broken water mains, potholes, drainage. And last year we used this heavily with storm debris pickup. So please just, download the app on your phone. It's very, very easy to use, or you can just call 311. And then we talk about trains. We're not going to go into all of the trains thing, I swear. But if you ever want to talk trains, I will talk trains with you for hours afterwards. This is the best way to report train blockages, which is this FRA portal. That is the best way to let our elected officials know that there is a problem. And that helps everybody really showcase how bad it is in the East End. And if you're new, it's probably no surprise that Union Pacific, the Federal Railroad Administration, United States Department of Transportation, State of Texas, they have all recognized that the East End is the worst in freight rail congestion. So there's really a lot of information coming out about improvements coming to the area. And that's going to be a combination of everything you can imagine. So like I said, if you want to talk trains, happy to talk trains with you. So just, I think is a good idea right now to mark your calendars for some of our civic association events. Thursday, April 24th is our annual spring fiesta. Tuesday, October 7th is National Night Out. And then October 18th and 19th is our annual home tour. So if you haven't been to our home tour, it's a fabulous event. Aaron and Matthew run that together with a very large, very active committee. And it's an all-encompassing, all-hands-on-deck situation, but it's always a very lovely event, and I highly encourage people to go to it. So in addition, I'm sure, how many of you went to a coffee and conversations last year? Yeah, lots of people. It's great. No, it was fabulous. We got to meet a lot of new faces, and we were very happy to see that. We're going to continue that this year. We're going to, location to be determined as everything comes up, but we're going to be targeting the last Saturday of each quarter. And then we're also going to start adding park play dates. So that's going to start with our Easter egg hunt in the park on April 19th. So be on the lookout for that. We'll be having a Easter egg hunt and a playground event, probably at Eastwood Park is what I think that's going to be. And additional neighborhood events that we're cooking up behind the scenes just to help improve the community with each other. So that's something I know that's very important in our communities, that we can all be together and do fun things together. So if you want to take a picture, this is our 2025 meeting schedule. But as Everett said, he is on social media talking about these as well. They're also in any newsletters. So if you follow us on social media, you will get those updates. But if you want to take a quick picture, I see some phones up. Make sure everybody's got it. I'm sorry? Oh, super. That's okay. You'll get, if you just follow us on social media, you'll get noticed. But just to know, it's the first Monday of the month, except for January, April, July, and October, usually in lieu of something else that we have going on.
Councilmember will be here in 10 minutes, and I do want to piggyback on what you were saying on 311 calls. Please, I will council members, so the number we need for your 311 calls is so important. It's historical data, and we're able to put a little bit more force into the different departments that we need to. And this afternoon, the call to me, Christina. There's more information that Councilmember wants to share with y'all this evening. And he just texted me, and he should be here in the next 5 to 6 minutes.
Great. All right, cool. We'll get through this. All right, so we're going to start with our committees. We might have to pause when the council member comes in, but that's okay. So special events, you want to come up and speak to our I say new committee, it's not new, but it's a new chair.
Yes. Hi, I'm Emily, new to the board and chairing special events with Amy, who could not be here. So obviously looking for ways to bring our community together. We're going to continue on with our Spring Fiesta and National Night Out, which are always huge and continue to grow every year, along with coffee and conversations. Also kicking off this year, we will be doing some park play dates quarterly to try to bring some families together, different parks in the neighborhood to service different folks. And then other things we're exploring is a Halloween block party, maybe doing an outdoor movie night in the park Esplanade, Santa on a fire truck coming through, throwing candy. So if one thing we want is to hear though from all of you about ideas and things that you want to attend or see happen in our community. So please feel free to send ideas. We welcome feedback. And then also if anybody wants to join the committee, really looking for people who can help get things done. And or eventually we will be looking at, maybe bringing in more businesses to help support some of our events and provide food, maybe food sponsorship, other opportunities like that. So thanks.
Thank you, Emily. So we got communications and membership. Yeah, it's on. You gotta talk about it. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Kyle Rogers, and And this is Catherine Santamaria, and we're the co-chairs of the Communication and Member Engagement Committee. We changed the name this year. We are, our purpose this year is the Communication and Membership Committee is to be the conduit of information and news from ECA to the community members of Greater Eastwood. We seek to engage residents and the Greater Eastwood community and grow our membership base. We have a couple objectives with that, including communicate happenings in the area, maintain, produce, and distribute communications through our various accounts, such as social media, our website, email if need be, and our newsletter, which we are hoping to get, I don't know, 3 this year. I'm not quite sure.
3 sounds good.
Yeah. The third thing, our third objective is to liaise with other committees that we have on the Civic Association and be their communication tool. And what we have lastly as an objective is to evaluate and determine best processes for membership engagement and growth. One of the things that was added to our list this year was community engagement or member engagement, sorry. And what does that mean? Sort of, we know who can be a member of this civic association, but we don't really have a well-defined definition of what it means to be a member. We used to have dues, so at one point you had to pay to be a member, but we have eschewed that since COVID. So who can vote in on motions and in elections? It's kind of up in the air right now, and we're looking to sort of streamline that. So that's one of our main focuses. Catherine, would you like to add anything?
We're happy to invite members of the community to join the Communications and Membership Committee. And I think that QR code, if you scan it, will take you to a form to fill out. And we are looking for people that have expertise in graphic design, marketing, website, web design, and so on. So if you're interested, please join us.
Thank you.
So we have our trains committee, which has been in since 2021, since I crashed a board meeting and said, I want to do this, which I don't know if that was a good or a bad thing, but it happened. We've got Clay, Paulette, Wilson, Kyle, and Amy that are on this committee. If this is something that you do want to join, it's a pretty heavy download at this point, with just a lot of information. We advocate for improved interaction between freight trains and the community. So whether that means helping to advocate for the right type of infrastructure in the right place, or safety infrastructure, or working with the railroads to implement quiet zones. Part of that, the part of the Precinct 2 grant is going to cover a huge chunk of that. So we're really hoping to see what comes out of that specific one. So that is our trains committee. And then home tour.
So home tour is one of our largest committees. Last year we had 15 plus people that were part of the home tour committee. If you were part of it, thank you. You're probably very familiar with all the times that we met at Bohemios. And home tour is a really incredible way that we're able to expose the beauty of our neighborhood and the beauty of our community to people that are outside of this neighborhood. And it's also our largest fundraiser. So again, last year, as Lindsay mentioned, we raised over $17,000 through our home tour. 25% of that goes back to charities. So one went to the Easton Chamber of Commerce for a scholarship fund. And then the other one went to Finca Tres Robles, which is one of the only urban farms within the 610 loop. So it's been a really amazing way, not just to share the beauty of our community, but to give back to the recipients of those two organizations. So it's chaired by myself and Aaron. Again, like I said, we have tons of members. Right now, we have a full list of members, but if this is something that you're really interested in being a part of, just feel free to let us know. Thank you.
All right, so we have our safety committee, and our safety committee is Amy Erickson and I, but Paul O'Sullivan, who's sitting right up here, Thomas Simpson and Sarah Gutierrez are going to remain on. One of the things that we do is we try to address community safety concerns, strengthen relationship with HPD, Precinct 6, and additional law enforcement. We also partner with the Easton District and other organizations to improve resident quality of life, such as access to green spaces, vehicular and pedestrian transit opportunities, and animal welfare. And I'm going to pause for just a minute because Councilmember Martinez has come in. I'm going to take a seat because I think people got some questions for you.
Thank you. So for those that might not know who I am, because I don't expect everybody to know who I am, just a city council member. Not everybody has to know who I am. My name is Joaquin Martinez. I am on my first year of my 4-year, first term. So I'm gonna give some high level stuff, and then I know that there's things that y'all want to probably grill me on and question, which is fine. Y'all let me know how much time y'all have, and okay. So a year's been done, right? And so there's a couple things that I want to talk about before we get into some of the nuts and bolts of like what's happening right now. So definitely want to make sure y'all are informed. The first year, I want to say about a cumulative of about 3 months roughly. My team and I, we pivot from what we were trying to do, right? Coffee with the council member, resource fair, some community events to increase engagement and make sure folks are informed. What we were doing, what we ended up doing was we pivot to disaster recovery, points of distributions. If y'all remember, January we had a freeze, then we had derecho, then we had barrel. And so that really consumed us, and it just as much as you all. We were trying to make sure lights were on. Center Point, everybody knows the story with Center Point. Y'all have a state legislative session going on right now, so please continue to ring your reps, your senator. In addition to that, one thing that I'll say, and not everybody knows, but we were down 2 staff for about 3 months roughly. And so June, July, August, we lost 2 staff members. So the office turned into, instead of 5.5, it turned into 3.5. So someone that y'all see here at their meeting is Sally, who's part of my team. She's part-time. So 3.5, including myself, for about 3 months. We finally got 2 new staff members, team members in September. And so they're on their 4th month. I feel very confident in the work that they're doing, where they are. I tell my team I run, so I need you to run with me as well. And what that means essentially is you need to know what I know as much as possible. And so we were, I don't know if you saw it, but we were pretty tired last year, really tired last year. But we wanted to make sure that we continue to move forward. A lot of the conversations that had came on my first year in office. And so top things that from last year, and I had some of these conversations at the end of my September meeting. I think I came here around September with you all. I have started officially today, February, my Civic Club tour. Essentially what I do is every day that I have Civic Club over the next 2 months, because it roughly takes about 2 months, I'll be going out to several Civic Clubs. I just came from Magnolia Park, Pineview, so I apologize for my tardiness. But during this Civic Club tour, I've committed to making sure that you all see who I am, right? And I don't want to speak for all the other elected officials, but I know what my responsibility is. I accept that responsibility. And so we're going to be here to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. With that said, last year, and we had a little bit of a conversation about what the tax rate was, so I won't dive too much into it. But essentially, for the last now 11 years, your tax rate has either gone down or stayed the same. About 11 years ago, it was at 64 cents to the $100. Right now, we're at 51 cents to the $100. And I get the argument of, well, my taxes are still going up, but that's property value. And if you have an issue with property value, HCAD, I don't know if y'all know who regulates HCAD. And who oversees that board? No, state. So talk to your state rep, talk to your state senator. We've reduced your tax rate from 64 cents to 51 cents. We could have increased the tax rate from 51 to 53 cents in October. And that is with the rev cap. So we passed the rev cap years ago. We would have stayed within the rev cap still, and we would have been okay, right? No voter needed approval or whatnot. In addition to that extra 2 cents that we could have added, which would have been about $40 million, what we could have done as well, because with the disasters, we could have actually increased it a bit more. the mayor, and I appreciate, what he's trying to do. Which he said, we're not gonna increase taxes, right? And we're gonna continue to do what we're doing. In March of last year, we passed the Ernst Young audit report that are still waiting to hear back from. Essentially, it was a deep dive audit in every aspect of your departments. And for past year, because I've been around for some time, and some of y'all know, I worked for the previous council member for 10 years. I know what these issues are, so I pretty much know what's gonna be set out of that audit report, right? We have to right-size departments. Solid waste is one of your challenges right now. Last budget cycle, or budget workshop cycle, I had asked the department director, when should we have had a trash fee? Nobody likes fees, nobody likes extra taxes or whatnot, but when should we have not had a trash fee? We should have had a trash fee when we started having heavy trash. And heavy trash started probably when I was about maybe a handful of years old, right? I'm about to be 45 this year. And so we should have had, even if it was $5 a month, right? We're the largest municipality without a trash fee. What that trash fee can do, depending on what we set it, if we are able to move forward with it, we can alleviate the general fund, which is where y'all tax dollars go to, about $100 million into an enterprise fund. And those $100 million that we would normally be getting from the general fund will be alleviated to be able to address a slew of other things that we need, whether it's having an extra $20 million for that $100 million to right-size solid waste. Solid waste has not been where it needs to be for years. Harvey is where it really got the 1-2 punch when we were running the trucks like crazy. And when we did that, infrastructure with those vehicles were already pretty bad. We would hear stories where at the 610 bridge, it was there crossing, trucks are catching on fire. So we have bad vehicles, bad infrastructure. In addition to those drivers, the Class C license that they have, after about 6 to 8 months, they have experience and then they go to the private sector. So everything costs money, first and foremost. So I will be open and honest. I am for a trash fee. I get it. I'm a resident of the city of Houston. I have a 19-year-old, a 9-year-old, 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. If I had to pay $20 more a month, and that means that if I can't go to Segundo Coffee Lab and buy a coffee 2 or 3 times a month, then I have to do that sacrifice as well, because at the end of the day, as Houstonians, we have to work at right-sizing these departments. And then as you start right-sizing, you start getting to a course correct that the city's been needing for decades. So priorities has always been public safety. We've been understaffed when it comes to HPD. They've pulled folks from behind the desk to put them out on patrol. We've closed, and one of the examples is the storefronts. Everybody wants a storefront. Well, those folks were waiting there for people to report things. Now they're out patrolling. So we've increased the number we have, instead of 4 cadet classes, we have 5 cadet classes that we passed. Infrastructure, deferred maintenance. We've talked about this, and we've been deferred maintenance in the city of Houston for 20, 30 years. So there's nothing new. Your streets are the way they are because for 20, 30 years, people have not been investing the dollars. That leads me into the recent judge, and I don't think it was like a decision, but we had the drainage fee lawsuit. The judge has now said that the city of Houston needs to put $100 million from the general fund into these drainage projects. We need it, right? But now that's another $100 million. On average, 10 years, for about 10 years, we're averaging $150 million deficit, roughly, up and down a little bit. This year, fiscal year 26, before that $100 million, we're going to be at about $220 million deficit. Real money, right? Real situations, but I'm here to share all that real information because at the end of the day, as I move forward, I want to make sure that every decision that I make, it's not just a knee-jerk reaction. I was born and raised in the East End, raising a family in the Hobby Airport area. I'm a part of this community just as much as you all. And so every decision is important to me as well because I have kids that I want to be able to live in Houston as well. So we're looking at now $320 million deficit. The mayor has put out the audit. I respect that. Don't increase taxes this past fiscal year, but we're going to have some real conversations this year for FY26. We should have our budget in May. Tune in. You have committee meetings that happen all the time, and I know that you might not be able to see it live, but it's on Facebook. Go to Facebook, and you can look at all the different things that have been on HTV. We had a BFA meeting today. talking about the budget. We had a quality of life meeting today, talking about unhoused, homeless challenges that we have, and then, of course, affordable housing, which is impacting everybody in the city of Houston. And so this last year has been a whirlwind. I'm hoping, and we didn't start off correctly, right? We had a freeze and the snow. So the January, I felt like I was missing, which I was, 2 weeks. But it also felt like 60 days, I should say. And so I'm hoping for no more weather events. Please, no more weather events. But there's real work to be done. And throughout this whole process, this year specifically, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna come back and share, whether it's me personally, if it comes to that point, or through my team members who I 100% rely on. They're an extension of me, the office, and what we're doing. And so we're gonna share this information with you all. So trash, we are behind. The conversation we're having with solid waste director is that, so about a month ago, we were picking up in District K, which is in the southwest part of town, that were 3-4 months delayed because they were picking up in District A. That was 2 or 3 months delayed. And so who's next after District A is gonna be us. And that's 023, 061, where I live, 87 and 75, which is the Hobby Airport area. And so we're gonna experience delays. The one thing that I would press on you all, if it's a delay, report it to 311. Everything's data driven, right? We gotta make sure that, and I know folks are like, well, why am I gonna call? It's gonna be out there. Just call, please. That is helpful. One of the biggest challenges that we have in District I specifically, and I was just having this conversation at Magnolia Park, is that when you don't call, then it's not documented, right? And we document it in our heads when we're driving, reversing out of the driveway, but we're not actually documenting it. And when it comes to, if I, I'll be done in a little bit. Paul, my bad, you made me lose track. So solid waste, we will be seeing some delays. We will, and I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna own it. And so just challenge us to help push on solid waste director. He showed up last week to a meeting that we had, and I think it was a quality of life meeting, and everybody was grilling him. Actually, it wasn't a quality of life. It was a BFA. It was another meeting, but he was being grilled by every council member, from Mary Ann Huffman, District G, to Joaquin Martinez, District I, to Amy Peck, District A. We were all grilling him. Yes.
So I guess there's actually a number of people here who have not had their recycling picked up in more than 6 weeks. Well, I'm gonna speak for myself, and I appreciate delays in weather, and I appreciate like some delays, like I get that it will happen. But what do residents who have experienced 6 to 8 weeks wait time?
So I'm with you, just so you know, my recycler didn't get picked up when it was supposed to 2 weeks ago. It'll be picked up tomorrow. So it didn't get picked up 2 weeks ago, and then we had the holiday. If y'all don't have the HTX app, it is called, they are doing their best to keep it updated as much as possible. It's sometimes HTX collects. Download the app. So, for example, this is for my address, yard waste, delayed. Trash, recycle, delayed. So I guess I'm gonna have a delayed pickup for recycle again. No, City of Houston, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, that's not the trash. You put her address in and then tell you everything about her address.
So usually when a constituent calls or sends me a direct message on Instagram or Facebook, I say, what's your address? I find it and I tell them, look, this is what's going on. This is a really quick way to be able to get that information. Download the app, please. We're on solid waste to make sure that this is correct as well. HTX collects. So if somebody downloads it, put in your address, you can, before the end of the meeting, you'll figure out what's going on here in Eastwood. So that was solid waste. I'm trying to think of Polk Street. Okay. Yeah, I need to breathe at this one.
If you could let Councilmember finish, and then we can.
So, thank you, Lindsay. So if you look at the TxDOT website right now, the intended project was that, and Polk was gonna be closed back then, right? It's from Polk, you take Emancipation about a block down and then a turn and come back up Polk. So it's not, it wasn't like getting shut off. And quite frankly, I take Polk coming into downtown, and you can be at that light longer than what that probably drive would have been. It would have been faster, honestly, in some cases. Unless you got lucky and hit a green light. Lindsay, thank you for sharing that picture with us this morning. There is a notice for requests, and what's the verbiage actually? Yeah, I have the picture. I'm gonna read the,
I'll forward to it. There is a picture of it along with the phone number.
yeah, and I want y'all to call it, please.
So if y'all want to take a picture of the phone number, it's 832-395-3122.
It's a
that's-
request to abandon this street. This yes,
That's one of the main. corridors.
yes, I 100% get it. I'm with you. So it's a request to abandon the street. Essentially, it's going through the JRC, the joint referral, something process. I don't know what the C is right now. Sorry. The JRC process. Essentially, that JRC process allows the city to abandon right of way. And some right of way, believe me, we need to abandon it because if we're not utilizing it, it costs money to repair it and so on. I found out today as we started digging more, so thank you again, Lindsay, for sharing this text message this morning. The requester for the abandonment of this street is Houston First. For those that don't know, I am on the Houston First board. The mayor placed me on the Houston First board. I appreciate being on the Houston First board because not only does it focus on a lot of what happens in downtown, you know, heads and beds, people coming in, spending money, because that sales tax comes to us in the form of the general fund as well. At least I got another opportunity or platform to be able to say, hey, what's going on with this? I had a conversation with the director, Randy Mackay. We're jumping on and off the phone because he didn't know all that was going on. And I had mentioned to him, TxDOT on several occasions, and what I had been sharing on several occasions is that this street will be open. East-west to downtown is important for the East End as well. It's gonna find out, it will be open, its intended purpose now is to be open for cycling and pedestrian. Vehicular traffic is gonna be off the board. And so for me, what was gonna happen is the Sky Bridge, similar to what you have like in that area, so be able to connect with the expansion of the George R. Brown, which is happening, right? It is happening, but that road would have still been open, so that way there's still access east to west. Right now, Commerce only goes in, but doesn't come out, right? And there's a few others, Russ does, and I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. I think Walker, some of them North Texas. And then on the north side, there's about 4 or so, right? George R. Brown was built, it blocked several blocks from going east-west. Good, I get it, right? It's a good thing to have the George R. Brown. We bring conventions, money comes in and it helps with the general fund, right? On the south part of the George R. Brown, it's Polk, Leland, Bell, and then Peace. And so some of those are because of this project, and it's a TxDOT project. And so going back to, and this is one of the things that I will continue to do, and I'm not here to, what's the word? Like everybody needs to be held accountable. Let me just say that. So if you don't know who your state rep is, or your state senator, or your county commissioner, or your congressperson, because at the end of the day, the city of Houston, just because you live in the city of Houston, we cannot be burdened and carry everything that happens in the city of Houston, from homelessness to affordable housing. All that is interconnected into every part of the government. You know, we're doing some great things with the trains because, thank you, Eastwood, and I say this all the time when I was a staffer, but not for Eastwood, but we have not been able to see Commerce, York, and Sampson happening. It's great separation, right? And that was because before that, everybody was coming to the city of Houston, just ticket the train conductor, just give it, they used to do it before. Well, we cannot because there's preemption, right? The federal government has laws and they supersede what we're trying to do. And so because Eastwood stepped up and learned and were informed and started calling the congressional leader for this area, he jumped on it. And I'm sure some of the initial conversations were, what trains, what's going on? Right? But again, and so that all to say is that please stay engaged in every aspect. You have a legislative session right now that there is $22 billion with a B. And yeah, everybody in the state of Texas is fighting for that money, but yet $22 billion sales tax, right? When you buy something, that's what goes to that revenue, or that's where that revenue comes from. That we should be seeing here in the city of Houston. I was at Magnolia Park and I gave kudos to Commissioner Garcia's office because we have 2 drainage projects south of Harrisburg. North of Harrisburg, the county is going to be doing that project. And y'all pay county taxes, so county should be doing something with your dollars as well. So back to this, the JRC process has it's beginning. There's a notice, and they're doing this. It's public notice. It's going to call that number. I'm going to write a letter of opposition. I'm going to share it with the mayor as well. Let them know that this was not something that was understood even a few weeks ago for me. At Houston First, where I sit, I'm going to also share my opposition as well. This is where our community, and I say this all the time, if an elected official comes in here and says, I got you by myself, they're lying to you. I cannot do this by myself, right? It took Eastwood stepping up so that way we can see federal dollars come in for this grade separation. Y'all need to be loud, please. And make some time to go to public session, please. Please, please. I'm begging y'all. Because when you pay attention to public session every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, you see very little organizing from District I, if any. So hold me accountable, but honestly, y'all need to do your part too. 100%, y'all need to do your part. Y'all have folks in the Northeast that were able to get $20 million of drainage projects. The Northeast area, NAC, they showed up in yellow shirts, NAC, and they showed up consistently, and they were able to see $20 million to drainage projects in that Acres Homes Fifth Ward area. Mobilize, organize. I'll feed y'all information because that's what I'm supposed to do, and show up and speak up. So back to this. I don't know. We're gonna find out when it goes through this JRC process. Several entities within the city of Houston will review. It hasn't been it's not official yet. Houston First wants to do this. Well, we need to know what is it that we're gonna compromise, right? At the end of the day. And I'll be honest, compromise is not a bad word. I know right now sometimes either my way or no way. Compromise is not a bad word. We just need to figure out what is it that's important for Eastwood and what's important for East End in general. And so this is an issue for me. And everybody needs to be, just as a word, call, send me emails. We'll forward those emails to everybody at, send it to me and your 5 at-large council members. Sorry?
You want to close?
No, I don't want to close Polk.
You guess?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And again, and I know we might not agree with everything. I was at the last meeting and there are some things we probably didn't agree on. I'm gonna do what's best and what I hear from everybody in the community as much as possible. Houston First, because they're gonna expand the George R. Brown. That's the George R. Brown to the right. They're expanding it south. I'll take so that way I can pause a little bit, but I'll take a few questions or comments.
Where are they held and can a group come?
Yes. So Houston First meetings are public, but it's not just Houston First. Y'all need to show up to public session at council. And whenever it shows up, I want to say it's going to come to planning commission as well. Show up to the planning commission meeting as well. We'll get that information to you all. Show up, please. Clay.
On the topic of infrastructure improvements, your office a few months ago sent out a list of proposed ideas of capital improvement. One of the items mentioned in that email was a mill and overlay project on McKinney Street. Can you talk at all about that?
I
think it was
Leland.
Dublin, Mill.
Dumble and Milby. I don't remember that.
Okay. I'll see
No,
what-
it's for sure Leland, and so we do have a work authorization right now for Leland between Polk and Scott. That is one that we will be seeing like soon.
There's a mill overlay project in this one.
Leland. But I could be wrong.
I thought it was,
The TxDOT released 3 alternatives for that section, I think 3,
So yeah, segment 3. Yeah.
Has one of those alternatives been chosen yet, or?
Yeah, they're moving forward. So TxDOT had groundbreaking.
there it is. We submitted the following 2 locations, McKinney, between Milby and Lockwood around Greater Hobby area.
That's
I know it's tiny, sorry. McKinney between Milby and Lockwood and around Greater Hobby.
Let me find out. So we submitted something that's a SRI, a street rehabilitation initiative. So we've submitted, right? We have not confirmed it yet with Public Works. So once we get the yes, we're moving forward. So for example, aside from Leland, Harrisburg from 76, well, from 70th, I want to say, or somewhere around there. Macario, from Macario down to 75th is going to be a mill overlay as well. So we're doing some infrastructure improvements there. Same as Leland. So but we'll find out which one that is, Clay.
Oh my gosh.
Paul. Yeah. Yeah, so if you look, you can go to the TxDOT website right now.
I just looked, sorry, I
Yeah.
just looked at this, earlier today, and the latest thing does not show the road being closed. It does show some temporary closure.
Yeah.
Right, but not a permanent closure on the Polk Street.
Right.
It seems that this sign is completely related to, Houston
Correct.
First and the JRC proposal.
Correct, so
Like the TxDOT attachment, there will be interruptions there, but not a permanent closure related to the
Well,
TxDOT.
that's where I'm here to clarify. Right, so I'm here to clarify. What you're seeing on TxDOT website is what I've been
Yeah.
told as well, that it's gonna be emancipation, make a right, keep going, come back up Polk. This is new.
Yeah.
This is Houston First submitting a application through the JRC process to be able to say, abandon this street. We'll take ownership over it, and then they're gonna do what they want with it because now it's theirs.
So I just want to say, like, I'm glad to hear that you're opposed to it, and I want to compliment you on your office and the way that they dealt with me today when I called them. I'm curious if you've yet developed an idea on how you want to present it, other than I don't like that. Have you yet got any alternatives that would be appealing to, Houstonians and Houston First, where you sit on?
Are you able to take that offline? I'm not trying to interrupt you,
No,
because
it's
we only have like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Talk to you after.
Yeah, we can talk afterwards.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll hang out, I'll hang out for a bit afterwards. So we'll move forward, but
yeah,
need y'all to mobilize and organize on this, bottom line.
Question on mobilizing. Would a change.org petition do any good, or is that not a good?
So change.org, I appreciate folks that do that, right? But at the end of the day, there are processes that we work through already, right? You can do it, so you can say, hey, this is what's going on. But you still gotta go through a certain process, and you need to go to a public session, right? You need to go through the JRC process, which you probably gonna go to the planning commission. You need to show up at Houston First meeting as well. It's a joint referral something. Committee, there you go. Joint referral committee. And so there's a process. I appreciate folks that even come to me and to my office and say, hey, I got 100 signatures from my neighborhood to do X, Y, and Z. And because they want speed cushions. Well, there's a process for speed cushions. There's an application. I appreciate the legwork and I appreciate you engaging with community. But at the end of the day, there's ways to get these things done. And that's where, again, for me, I'm trying to inform you about every process that there is. Because the more informed you are, the more empowered you are, the more likely we can move faster, rather than you spending 3 months getting signatures that are really gonna just sit on the sideline.
I just want to say, like, everybody was talking about the importance of 311. It's calling that number, and it's actually a slightly different number that's on the next look post. I can give it to you afterwards, but right now, what you can do is call the JRC and wait for them, right? And we can organize when there's meetings, hearings, and bring more people and show that support, but right now, what you need to do is call that number.
Okay, so if you do have additional questions, the council member is going to wait
Yeah.
until afterwards, because we only have this room until 8 o'clock, and then we actually could get charged money for it, and we don't want to do that. So we want to make sure that we're out of here in a certain time. So you're going to hang out a little bit, you want to
I
hang out
will
with us?
hang out a little bit more. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to share with y'all moving forward. Are you like, I'm done for the day, or done for right
If
now?
you have something-
I'm good. Hey,
If you,
this is not bad at all, I'm telling you. I've been where I've had to catch arrows. And then I find something in my bag too, which is okay. No, I'll be here. But what I do want to just kind of close with, right? We're about to have a budget cycle again. We should be receiving the budget, proposed budget around May. We're gonna share it. I'm more than happy for y'all to read it as well. Hard decisions are gonna be made. So please know that I'm not taking this lightly and like, oh, Councilman Martinez just wants to raise my taxes. Not that easy. Pay attention to everything's going out. Charge me up, I'm okay. But let's have a good, productive conversation about where the city's gonna be at for you, for me, for my kids, for your kids and grandkids. And I guess I'm done with that.
in the Super Neighborhood March meeting is going to have text dot there, so maybe you can come there, and then anybody can come there, because they're going to be there to answer questions. They usually bring an engineer, they bring their team out. You're welcome to come to that meeting. And-
Good,
All right.
all right. I'll
Thank you
be
so much.
hanging out for a bit.
All right, I didn't mean to stop you. I'm
No,
sorry
you're
about
good.
that. Okay, so the good thing is that I can talk really fast, so we'll get through some of this. We do have the mobility committee. I think, Clay, you were going to speak about our new mobility committee.
Hi, everybody. My name is not Thomas Lopez. Thomas is not here tonight, but he wanted me to be able to brief you all. As you can all hear, there's a lot of passion about mobility projects, what your streets look like, what your way to work looks like, and how you can influence that process. We wanted to put tabs on that. So this is a new committee this year. It's a mobility committee, and it is not meant to be an action, right? So this isn't necessarily that we are going to organize you all to go and speak. But what this mobility group is, it's only 3 people. But our job that we have put on ourselves this year is to keep an eye on what is happening and on what's coming, so that we can then share with you as a group how you can take your opinion, however you feel, straight to city council, straight to the organizations that let you make a difference, and basically give you that megaphone so that you can voice your opinion. We're going to be keeping an eye on lots of projects, particularly the telephone road improvement projects and the TERS project that are currently kind of paused out. We are keeping an eye on all of those grants that are going to be improving that whole corridor from 610 to Bohemios, essentially. We have another project with the I-45 realignment. There's a lot of strong feelings there. Polk Street, these are projects that we're going to have an eye on for you. Another factor is there were a lot of discussions at the Metro board, and anytime Metro gets involved, that's another area where they have public comment and the ability for you as neighbors to go and speak. So again, we're just going to keep an eye on things and show you how you as neighbors can mobilize and speak your mind. So that's what's coming up on mobility. And do you mind if I go ahead and talk about beautification while I'm here?
Good.
Okay, so my wheelhouse this year, I'm going to be chairing the beautification committee. This is something we have had a lot of interest in. Last year, we had a plant swap at our April Spring Fiesta, and it was a huge hit. People had a lot of fun with it. There are a lot of gardeners in the neighborhood, lots of folks who are interested in making the streets a little prettier. And so we decided we're going to put together a place for all of those volunteers to get involved. So if you want to help make, if you have a green thumb and you want to help us out, we would love to hear from you. This committee, we have a few of the members listed. We've got a couple of projects. So we are going to be having some park cleanups. We don't know what they're going to look like just yet, but our self-imposed goals, we want to do at least 2 park cleanups, hopefully more, but at least 2. And we also want to be doing things like graffiti abatement. So I don't know if anybody's seen the spray paint on the oak trees recently, things like that. How can we make our neighborhood prettier? There have been suggestions on things like doing planting native plants in front of the Eastwood sign on the Esplanade, finding ways to pretty up curb sites, trash pickup. I know Tom and Jenna have done a really good job over the years We thank them for all the work they've done for community trash pickups. Now they've moved on to Washington. So we are going to be kind of trying to fill their shoes a little bit. This has several roles. We have folks that are going to want to help us plan. So we're going to be trying to think of lists of projects that we can do with some of the funds we've raised as a civic association to spend it in ways that make our neighborhood prettier and more enjoyable for everybody here and improve quality of life. So we want folks that are interested in these types of things to come and talk to us to kind of brainstorm what those projects are. And then we're also probably later going to be putting out a call for volunteers, people who may not want to be involved in the planning, but they say, hey, I've got a shovel and I'm free to help you work. So be on the lookout for that this year. Thank you, everybody.
So then our last committee that we're creating, or we did create, is a financial and governance controls. We've been working on the nonprofit status reinstatement, and then just kind of working our way to create much more clear and transparent processes for financials, maintaining nonprofit status within the state United States. And something you probably just don't think about is things like password control. Like, we can't just let everybody have access to the bank account, you know, little things like that. So we're going through a lot of those processes to make sure that they're very clear, they're very, very taken care of. Kyle has done a lot of legwork on his own, but I think now it's just time to have a committee to support that. Erin is helping because she has a huge expertise in nonprofit organizations. Thomas, he brings in a different type of expertise, just understanding that governance side. Matthew and Poulani are also going to be on this committee together. So hopefully what we'll be able to do is share this information a lot more transparently and easily so that you can access it at any time. So in terms of like our priorities for the year, some of these things are not that changed from last year. And I think that that's just something to think about. The I-45 expansion, I know that I've just said this. I know we've talked about this ad nauseum. The super neighborhood does have tech doc coming out in the March meeting to talk about this, and they are there to answer questions. So don't hesitate to come out to that super neighborhood meeting in March. We've got the Eastwood Park master plan, which is not fully funded just yet, but it is a great plan and could really help beautify the neighborhood. Clay talked about the Telephone Road project. It is a combination of East End District and the TERS to be able to just do the Main Street revitalization of Telephone Road. We got the West Belt project, which is in design from what I understand. And the West Belt project is to create a better infrastructure around the trains, especially at York and Sampson, being able to get underneath the trains for the first time at that specific location, and also at Commerce Street. But for us, it's York Street that we're looking at. And any SIP lists that happen to come out. So it's local elections, the only ones that I could identify are, we've had 2 years of very heavy elections. The HISD school board does look like it's coming up for election. So that's probably something you want to pay attention to as you're going through. If you have opinions on how HISD is running right now. Neighborhood concerns, every single survey that we do, safety, train blockages, mobility, beautification, and affordability come up every single time. So we got the train blockages, we got to make sure we got good sidewalks. That's something the super neighborhood is taking on. We're going to start cataloging the sidewalks in our neighborhood and figure out, okay, now that we know which ones we have and which ones aren't good, what do we do from here? And that also kind of implies something. I asked Levi actually this past couple weekend, I think it was last weekend, where I said, hey, how do we get improved sidewalks in Eastwood? So those are just types of questions that even the county can help us with. And that's what we're trying to do, because we know that the city can do so much, but the county can also step in and partner with the city to get us some of these improvements as well. And internal operations, I don't know if y'all knew this, but 63% of our super neighborhood is Spanish speaking at home. So we need to make sure that we're improving our Spanish outreach. I know Everett helps a ton. I know Thomas helps a ton. But just being able to speak to more than just English speaking residents. Are the 501c status, improved communications, and operational norms. Some of those operational norms, what we just talked about, making sure we have processes in place to make sure we have smooth transitions, that not everybody has access to every single thing, and that we are very, very clear on access controls. We talked about the I-45 expansion project and this horrible sign here. If you did not get a chance to write down this number, it is 832-395-3122. Please call it and tell them you don't want this. Please do that at some time tomorrow. Or you can call a council member. I'll give you his number directly. I'm kidding, I'm not. I wouldn't do that to you. Okay, so to join a committee, if you want to go ahead and do that, It's the bit.ly/ECA committee. That'll give you an opportunity to just to sign up for something that you're interested in. In terms of announcements, the Reimagine Commerce Street, while it's not specifically in our area, that is Adrian Garcia's project. It is a way to get your voice into how Commerce Street is going to look. That is tomorrow at 3000 Garrow, which is the Settegas Community Center. Highly suggest that you go. I think that this would be a great way to really show what the community wants, because we're starting to get these dollars in. And I think that you as residents should get a say on how this is, on how this should be, and how it's going to help you and improve our community. South Central HPD PIP, we talked about this before, February 18th, HPD South Central. The super neighborhood meeting for February is February 26th at the Magnolia Multi-Service Center. We're gonna have Harris County Flood Control come in and talk about that bond that just passed and the different projects that they can do with that. We've got Friends of Columbia Tap. How many of y'all know what the Columbia Tap Trail is? How many of y'all knew that there is an action plan to improve it? See, that's a lot of people that don't know. And they just received a grant. I think it was 6.7 million. It was $7 million to make real improvements on the Columbia Tap Trail. So we're gonna have them come out and speak to that, because that is a positive in our community.
I just wanted there, Harris County Flood Control, it's not a bond. They increase your tax rate. That's your taxes annually that are increased because the Harris County Flood Control we voted on. Everybody voted on this past November. It's not a bond, so it's not a one-time or these are projects. Your increase, if your tax bill this year, it might hit this year, I'm not sure, but it's an increase in tax rate.
All right, so then we also have Houston Parks. I just talked to your office, or hopefully we're gonna have Houston Parks to talk about the Lawndale Dog Park. How many of y'all knew about the Lawndale Dog Park? There's like 4 people. Okay, there is a dog park supposed to come in on Lawndale. So that's right at the bayou, right by the church. Oh, Lawndale and Braves. Across from the cemetery. So they had their groundbreaking, well, not groundbreaking, they just had their introduction of what this is going to be. So we want to get started on that dog park. We know people here love dog parks. I love dog parks. I love to take my dogs to them. And then of course, our next ECA meeting is on March 3rd. And that's different from the super neighborhood, but you're welcome to come back here, or we'll go through updates on how everything is going. And yes. Ooh, so now we've got time for Councilmember Martinez to answer all of the questions. Oh, sorry, Lan.
I was wondering where you have a deed restriction violation in your neighborhood. It looked like maybe safety committee might have been the one that applies that with their vehicle and pedestrian control, because we've had a deed restriction violation for the last 8 months on our street, where we have a duplex rented and it's being used as an office. We have 3 cars parking every day on our street. Now it has expanded, and we have 8 cars parked on our street, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 3 cars on Saturday, or 3 to 4 cars on this side. And this has been going on for 8 months. I have been journaling every day the cars that park and where they are, when they arrive, and when they leave. That I submitted to your office, Lindsay, Aaron, we've met at my house over this. Paul's helping me with it. We've been talking to Dana Crenshaw. 8 months later, nothing has happened, and it's increased the number of employees. And this is our deed. And there was somebody Sunday, a friend of the owner, looking and taking pictures, because he wants to do the same thing. He wants to invest and Eastwood. But this is a violation of our leadership. And so where does that go?
So I know that we've talked a lot about this. We've been going back and forth on this. It looks like April is going to be like the deed restriction workshop on what like everything can do. The Civic Association is legally not able to enforce deed restrictions. So we're able to bring in the resources needed. We've helped escalate as necessary. I mean, I've stepped in, I've gotten updates as much as possible. They just can't comment on things that are in progress. So
it is at the legal department right now. And just for an FYI, so Idawood has deed restrictions, Country Club has deed restrictions. It is on you, right? Because the city of Houston can't represent you in these issues. We just enforce. But you can have a lawyer that can hire as well to go after that individual leadership. So there's different routes, and we can talk more about it. We can find out whether that's updated or where it's at. But as you mentioned, Dan Crenshaw, who's actually, he's someone else that's on it now, because Dan used to be our deed restriction representative for District I, someone else, I can't think of his name right now, but, we'll dig it up again and get back to you.
Okay.
So,
We can hire an attorney ourselves to go to get.
the meeting is officially adjourned. If you want to go have king cake, there's king cake out in the lobby. Catherine Santa Maria has brought that over. Oh, I see the library.
Yes.
In this community, you're very lucky to flow to great libraries, the Florida's Library and the Santa Fe Library. We have some amazing programs this year that we wanted to let everybody know. Specifically, Santa Fe is starting a crochet club. I'll let you hear about that. Yeah, so we have a crochet club Saturday, 11 o'clock. Also, guys are, all materials are supplied, sorry, and we also be having an adult for fees, so you're ready to come to Santa Fe, as well as sports. Yes, that's words. I'm specifically, we have programs for all ages, but I'm asking for everyone's support in getting the word out about our Monday craft program from 4 to 5. Our attendance is really low, so we hate to cut that program. So if you know any adults, any seniors, anybody that's free from 4 to 5, it's open to both adults and teens, and again, everything is provided, everything's free, so please come by. We have calendars that we need out, and we'll be around.
She just made an important announcement, right? If attendance is low and no one shows up, and that program goes away, and then we cannot say and justify it, say that this library needs to be open at this time. Especially with a soon to be $320 million deficit. So utilize the city wherever you can. Yes.
All right, so I know the council member is going to hang around and answer questions, so feel free to come on up, but the meeting is officially adjourned. And so you can go grab king cake, you can talk to the council member, and we will see y'all next time.
And if I don't get to you, if you have one question that somebody, group y'all want to answer, I can answer that, prioritize those that way.
I was gonna, thank you for coming.